What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Zach and Pat Show. I'm Zach.
And I'm Pat.
This is the show about manhood, fatherhood, entrepreneurship, and the mentality it takes to be successful at those things. And we'll probably sprinkle in some helpful real estate advice too, because that's what Pat and I do. You know, guys, life can be tough. We can go through some things and struggle at times, but this is the show to let you know that you're not alone. So if you're someone out there going through any of these things, this is the show for you. We have a very special guest in studio today. He is a 21-year-old entrepreneur, the owner of Greenscape STL and Faster Fences, the great and powerful Jack Hanneken. Welcome to the show.
Sir.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Deja vu.
Deja vu.
I'm an idiot. I forgot to start the audio. My bad.
We got about 10 minutes into of it, and we're like, hey, dude, I don't think we're recording over there. But anyway, Jack, let's get back into it. So, you're 21. You've accomplished so much at such a young age. It's, I met you a few years ago, and just to see where you scaled from when I first met you and to where you're at now is insane. Because I remember meeting you at Omen, and you're a 19-year-old kid, and you're in there with a lot of guys and girls like twice your age, and you're like in there, and you're like, holy, he's done what? Holy shit, look at this guy. So what is it about you or your mindset that has allowed you to move as far and as fast as you have?
Yeah, I think kind of just like a contrarian mindset. I've been thinking a lot different than a lot of my friends. And I think a lot of that started at a young age, like 15 or 16. My dad played a big role in it, but I flipped my first car. So I bought a car off of an insurance auto auction at 15. It was a 2006 Mustang GT. And so it got dropped in my driveway by a tow truck. It was completely wrecked. So my dad and I went through and rebuilt it, painted it, everything. I drove that around for a couple of years when I was 15 and 16. When I was 16, I guess I had it for about 6 months, but I ended up selling it and I sold it at a pretty good profit. And that was kind of my first taste of easy, like money that wasn't directly tied to my time in a way.
Yeah. So were you working a W-2 job at this time too?
I was working at Micro Center at this time, but that was mostly just during the winters, and I was mowing lawns throughout the rest of the year.
Okay.
So that was kind of my self-employed income honestly, it was funding my car purchases and kind of bought a lot of fun toys when I was younger, motorcycles, all dirt bikes, all sorts of fun stuff. So it was always, how could I most efficiently use my time to fund my fun projects?
Yeah, for sure. No, that's so cool. So where did Greenscape start? Like, did it start out you just like mowing lawns around the neighborhood, or like what was the early stages of that?
Yeah, so it really started with I had a little riding tractor mower I got for about $100 on Craigslist back at the time. I had put a new starter on it to get it to run. I actually made a little trailer for it too, and I'd have a push mower and my weed whacker, everything on it. And so there's a couple of pictures which I'll send you that I would drive down the street with this little tractor and the trailer going
pulling it,
pulling it around.
Yep. So that was super cool. And I actually made a deal with one of my neighbors as I got my license to borrow his little 4x8 trailer, and I'd hook it up to my parents' minivan. And then my range extended. So Saturdays were my one day, and I'd go knock out 10 to 20 yards in a day with a buddy.
That's awesome.
So
damn. So you're doing that? Did you do that all through high school?
Mostly, I would say sophomore to senior year for the most part. So yeah, I built it up to probably like 60 yards a week or so at one point. And at that point, I had all the big commercial mowers, big truck, trailer, all sorts of stuff. But I would just have some buddies help me. I didn't really have necessarily any employees in that. So there was a lot of, middle of July, I was out there by myself doing 12, 13-hour days in the sun.
Yeah.
But I realized that wasn't forever for me. Couldn't sustain that. So I got into doing more like retaining walls and stuff after I graduated high school. Which also brings me to the point about kind of not going to college. That was a tough choice too.
Yeah. So is that something you had to battle with? Like, were you?
Yeah. So actually, my grandma had a college fund set for me, so it was a kind of a tough position because it was right there on a platter, right?
Right.
So it was hard to convince them that because all of my family had gone to college and it was kind of the way to go. But I knew from what I had already done and revenue that I generated that I could keep growing it. So I kind of positioned it as a gap year and told them, I was like, hey, I'm going to try this for a year and see what happens. And I think halfway through that year, they realized that it was probably the right decision.
Yeah.
So I got no more questions about it.
Did they give you that college fund to help fund with the business more, or put into the business?
So no, actually, I just recently had a conversation about this, and you guys will like this, but
Okay.
I was told it'll have to go into real estate.
Hey,
Okay.
I love it.
I'll
Hey,
take that.
there you go.
Yeah,
So,
hell yeah,
Heck
man.
yeah. It's
That's
a nice
awesome.
down payment or potential to buy multiple properties.
for sure.
I
Yeah,
love
that's
it.
awesome.
That's a great move. I like that a lot. Man, that's so crazy. So what I mean, so what you've transitioned into more doing like retaining walls. You kind of when did you step away from doing like lawns and kind of get into more like the retaining walls and the patios and all the other stuff you do?
For sure. Yeah. So I graduated high school in 2022. I actually graduated a semester early. So it was like January was my first month off.
You go to Webster?
Yep.
Yeah.
And that I was actually working at Apple at the time, at the Genius Bar. So that was kind of my last W-2 experience. And that ended in like March or April, right when mowing season was going to start again. So I mowed all the rest of 2022. And in the fall, that was when my friends were going off to college. I was kind of having to figure things out in my direction. So I decided to quit mowing cold turkey after that season. Um, and going into 2023, I had done my first retaining wall myself. And I was like, wow, there's some pretty good money in this compared to mowing lawns. You know, I could do a week-long project and make a month of the money mowing lawns.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like
Wow.
big difference. And yeah, when you're mowing lawns, if you have a $30 job you're on, your mower breaks down, it's like all of a sudden you're spending like hundreds of dollars to fix a
Right.
problem for a $30 cut. But yeah, I really enjoyed doing that. And so I went to find a designer that could design projects and I could just go build them. And I met my first mentor. His name's Bobby K. He's a St. Louis guy, but he kind of was like, no. You don't like, let me show you a different way to do things. And so he taught me about using subcontractors, how to do the design aspect of things. And so all of a sudden, I had like 2 to 3 projects under my belt, and I became more of a designer and a marketer and salesperson than actually doing the install. So it was a completely different way than I was used to about building a business, and that's what allowed me to grow so quickly. Was I didn't have to deal with hiring employees, dealing with overhead like that. So I was able to keep all my overhead really low and start finding these guys that are, they're working for multiple companies at the same time, so I don't necessarily have to keep them completely full.
Full all
Right.
the time.
Now, was it a tough process vetting those guys to find the guys that you want representing your name?
Yes. So actually, the first crew I had was a recommendation from Bobby.
Mhm.
And there's a couple other guys that will definitely remember him, like Joe Frankie here. He'll know exactly who I'm talking about. There was this guy in the industry, I won't say his name, but he was my first sub, and he just completely crapped the bed on like kind of everybody at once. I know he was stealing from a company. He left my project undone, and I unfortunately did not have the most understanding homeowner on that project. So I ended up having to go out there and build this big retaining wall myself. And like, I had no experience with anything in that like realm of project. It was like a $30,000 job, and the biggest job I had done was like 5.
Wow.
So I was out there. It took me like a week, but me and a couple friends kind of pieced it together and got the job done. But that taught me a lot about what to look for in subs going forward from that point.
Now, did you know Joe before joining AU?
I did,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. That's
Yeah.
yeah. I figured I assumed you guys probably knew each other. You guys are in the same industry. There can't be that many guys out there, that do what you guys do. I mean, in St. Louis. I mean, I'm sure there's quite a few, but I mean, sure it's a smaller community.
Yeah, the first time I met him was actually at a industry trade show in Kentucky last year, but I had known of Big Ben before that too. So I guess we're probably considered directly competitors,
Sure.
but he and I are able to help each other out. And I know he's starting to do pools, so I've got a couple leads that can go his way for that too.
Sweet.
Is that something that you're thinking about getting into at all?
No, quite the opposite,
Yeah,
actually.
get as far away from that as possible.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of doing pools. We've had some, like, especially on older pools, man, we've had lines hit, all sorts of stuff, and it's just a pain to try to fix them. I'm actually trying to niche down a lot more with faster fences, and that's what
Tell me about that.
Yeah, so that kind of came about while we were doing landscape projects on these like new build McBride houses and stuff. So it ended up being that pretty much everybody that we were doing projects for also asked for a fence, and the fence part of the job seemed like the easiest, and I made the most consistent money on it. So I decided to kind of branch it out, and it's almost like a blue ocean with all the new houses that are getting popped up everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's super simple. Our sales process is solid. Our subcontractors are solid. So I'm like, I don't want to dump everything into that and start scaling that up.
Yeah.
So
So you were doing you were doing some work for McBride?
not for them directly, but for their customers.
Gotcha. Okay. I was gonna say you're not one of the contractors that they haven't paid.
Nope.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll stay as far away from them as I can.
Yeah. We won't go there. But
Yeah.
anyway, well, that's awesome. So fencing, so that's the shift now. Still doing the retaining walls and stuff like that, or is it here and there?
Yeah,
But more so.
we do quite a few retaining walls still, mostly on a bigger scale. I would say,
Commercially.
not necessarily. We do a lot of residential stuff, but more like you can assume backyards, like wildwood stuff like that, where they need to be leveled out to
Yeah.
get more living space if they're on a hill, stuff like that.
Mm.
A lot of patios, few decks. Decks are kind of like they're a pain for me because of the permit process and all of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, really, we got into design and build a lot. So I do 3D renderings of all of our projects. But yeah, just very complex. Kind of, I like doing it, but is it worth all the effort that goes into a big job? Is kind of what I've been recently contemplating.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, what was that defining moment that changed how you approach life and business?
Yeah. Honestly, it was probably that moment when I had that bad subcontractor that I mentioned. That week was probably one of the worst weeks in business that I've had, because it was like I said, I had kind of an unforgiving homeowner on that job, and I still really didn't know much of what I was doing at that point. So I did a lot of reflection off that and changed a lot of the directions in my business and implemented processes for the first time and things like that. And once I did that, it really allowed me to not have to spend so much time doing the project management side of things. And I was able to take off with sales and marketing. So that week kind of gave me a huge new perspective on business and how I was going to run everything.
Awesome. Now, I mean, with your age and everything, and when you're talking to prospective clients, does that ever come up, or is that ever anything that they bring up in the process?
So believe it or not, they don't. And I think a lot of that is because I've kind of always tried to portray Greenscape as bigger than just me.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if somebody asks, right, I'm going to tell them it's me, some subcontractors, but I feel like a lot of people just kind of assume, right? And then also I feel like I was able to kind of gain a lot of knowledge very quickly. So when I'm on these jobs, I'm able to give people knowledgeable answers, and I don't think they've really looked past it too much.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, you're very well spoken and very knowledgeable. So I just was curious about that, because I know when I first got into the mortgage side of things, being brand new, people are like, I don't know if I'm going to trust this guy who's never done a mortgage before.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, my team has been around for 30 plus years. So that's kind of how I always sold it.
Yeah. And if I did get questions about it, I would actually be able to kind of use the same thing.
Right.
Like, hey, we use subcontractors on the actual install side of things. They've been doing it for 20 plus years. So, it's always a fun conversation though. I try to bring it up after the project's done a lot of the times, and they're really happy. I'm like, you guys guess how old I am? And usually they're like, oh, like 30. Like,
They just
yeah,
assume
21.
you're like one of those people that look really young.
Yeah.
But no, you just are really young.
Yeah. So that's usually a shocker, but it's always nice. Like after the project's done
Yeah.
and they're happy with everything, to throw that out there. They're like, whoa.
That's a cool thing to flex on after it's already done. You know?
Yeah.
You know how everybody
I'm
just
only
talks
21.
shit on Gen Z? Because you're Gen Z, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Everybody just talks shit on Gen Z. Well, that's me.
Yeah.
Change that perspective.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure, man. So what's so you had that one really, really difficult client. Would you say that's like kind of the hardest punch that's been thrown at you?
That was definitely one of the harder punches. I feel like for me, a lot of it would be like maybe not customer facing punches, but like trying to figure out problems on jobs when like subcontractors come to me and I don't have an answer on something. It's like a situation I've never been in before. I feel like I run into that a lot, especially with, like I said, pool lines. That's a job that we're on right now, where we hit the pool lines. And
Is this the water line going into the pool or the?
yes, so it's the ones running around the outside of the pool that go in. And so it was like I had a subcontractor on that job that I don't think we knew he hit him, but we kind of had everything covered up. And I had the lines pressure tested before we were going to put down the pavers, and then we found out there was a lot of leaks. So then they had to pull everything back, and it just caused delays in projects. The stuff like that kind of allows me to figure out for next time, but it's like I had no idea ahead of it in this job. It's supposed to take about a month. Now it's like 60 days in, and it's just
Yikes.
keeps taking time, and it's like try to do
Yeah.
everything I can, but
Yeah, you can only do so much, but damn.
yeah. So kind of, I'd say the biggest struggle is when I've run into situations like those that are I straight up haven't faced it before.
Yeah.
Right? I'm running into that a lot now. Like as I grow and grow faster, it's like now I'm trying to onboard project managers and employees and things like that to help me with sales and, like I said, project management. So just always running into things that I've never experienced before, but that's also why a place like this is so great, because there's a lot of people who have experienced that can help me. So
Yeah. Is that, so yeah, what do you do when you come across something you haven't before? Do you call your mentor? Do you have like other people that you can kind of go to, or what's like, how do you problem solve there?
yeah, so I have quite a few different mentors, industry specific, personal specific, even like within my church, things like that. So anytime that I have a problem that I run into, I usually have a mentor, but I'd say the front line has been ChatGPT recently.
Yeah, dude, me
That's,
too.
that's
man.
been great,
I
right?
use
Great
it. I use it just a stupid amount. It's crazy.
Which is good, because if you don't, I'd be concerned.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's so useful. I mean,
We were talking about it yesterday. When we did the seminar, we were talking about how like you can type in ChatGPT and it gives you like gives you steps where like you go in Google, it just gives you links and now you're having to search for it.
Yep.
And it's a time saver, and it's pulling all the same information from Google. It's just condensing it, making it easier.
It's just doing the research part.
Well, yeah, I hear that like the traffic on Google is down like it's just like crazy amount ever since like kind of the birth of ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Because I don't Google anything anymore. I just literally I type it in, or it has the one you can talk to, and I'll do that while I'm driving. Like, hey, what would you do, or what's just ask it a random ass question. It'll just read, just tell you the answer. It's like so great.
Yeah.
I use it constantly, and it's funny how it actually kind of gets to know you over time. That's kind of creepy, but it's like cool.
Yeah, and then you can start asking questions like, where do you see me in the next 10 years? And it'll start coming up with responses based on that. And it's like, well, can you give me 10 steps to get there?
Yeah.
And it's just, it's crazy.
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
We were all me and my neighbors are all sitting around a campfire this past weekend on a bonfire in the driveway, and we're having ChatGPT. You just tell it roast me, and it'll just like sit there and make fun of you. It go, and you could say like go harder, and it just like just rips you apart. It's like it's so funny because it's like so true.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, it was like like ripping on me for like thinking what do you think, you're a real estate influencer, podcaster, jiu-jitsu guy? You think you can just do everything? Just like it's funny, man. It's cracking me up, and yeah, it's just crazy how far, or like how and so because this is like such early stages of this.
Yeah,
like we're at the iPhone 1 or 2 right now. Like it's gonna, and when you look at what the iPhone 1 could do versus what the iPhone whatever the fuck they're on now, 15 or 16 or something, right?
Yep.
It's like the differences and the capabilities that the phones have, but it's like that's where we're at right now. We're at fucking Pong, and eventually it's gonna get to whatever Xbox, whatever we're on right now.
I'm at a little different perspective on that than probably you guys, because all you guys have really known is the iPhone.
I got the iPhone. I've had an iPhone since I was 16. So
okay.
Yeah,
so
I've had it pretty much.
And that's
whole adult
probably,
life.
it's either that or a Samsung for you, right?
I think my first phone was some kind of LG that was a hand-me-down, and then my first iPhone was a 5S whenever that came out.
Yeah. See, the very first iPhone, my buddy Ross, who we had on the show, he had the very first iPhone any of us had ever seen. And this was when I was in college. And I was like, we're just like, wow, this is insane. Yeah. And then now, just from the original iPhone to where we're at now, just seeing each step, each progression, it's just been insane. So it'll be interesting to see like where my kids, what ChatGPT looks like when
they're in college or whatever, when they're
not even going to need to go to college. They just talk to ChatGPT.
Yeah. I we get on that whole subject of college. It's just like, I mean,
obviously you
I have my thoughts on it.
Yeah. Let Jack tell me, what are your thoughts on college, man? Like, what do you like? Do you have any regrets about not going to college? Is there any like things you feel like you missed out on, or like what, clearly
Is it
you're in,
like a
you're in a great
badge?
position.
I was gonna say, is it like a badge of honor to be one of the first to be like, if in your family is like, yeah, no, I didn't go to college.
But look what I got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very content with where I'm at. I don't think I've had a single thought about wishing I went to school. A lot of people would tell me that I'm missing out on the connections that you can make there, but I would beg to differ that I'm making great
Right.
connections here, Omen,
Yes.
all those places. So I really, yeah, I've got a great group of friends. Like we've got a group chat with like 25 people. We're all really close and do
That's
events
awesome.
all the time. So I'm like made friends that way. So yeah.
Well, we had a guy on that was the previous episode. And he went to Lindenwood and did entrepreneurial studies, and we asked him, we're like, hey, did it really teach you to be an entrepreneur? He goes, hell no.
Yeah.
He's like, really the best thing about college were the connections. But you're right. I mean, there's so many other ways to make connections. But he made a point about it. It was saying that he's like, it's the one and only time really. Like once you get in the real world, you're not going to be surrounded by those like-minded people.
Yeah.
And you have to go out and find those groups of like-minded people, and you're just getting a head start on it.
Yeah. I feel like it's definitely made me like understand how to meet those people, if that makes sense. So like, finding places like here and then asking the right questions too, because everybody that you meet has another mutual connection that is going to be a beneficial introduction.
Shit, especially
Oh,
here
totally.
in St. Louis.
So, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Big small town.
yeah, one of my friends, his name's Jack Hanneken. He's been up here, but I've learned a lot from him just based off of the questions that he asks. He runs podcasts. So yeah, it's given me a different perspective. And like, once you start to unravel people and their story, like everybody has something to give.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. We had a guest on here who also, he has another podcast, and he was just like, do you think everybody has a story to
Has
tell?
a story to tell. Or no, his first question was, do you think everybody is inherently interesting? And I said, no. And I was like, because I think, whether someone's interesting to me is a pretty relative question. Something that's interesting to me might not be interesting to you. But then he's like, all right, well, let me rephrase that. Do you think everybody has a story to tell? And I guess when you say it like that, yeah, I think everybody does have a story to tell.
Yeah.
Does that person have the ability to tell it well? That's debatable. Because we've only had really one episode we never released, and it just didn't turn out well. It was like
there was a potential for a lot of stories. Just
like
one sentence answers won't get it there.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think that also comes down to just asking the right questions to people. Like, it's hard if they don't want to give up information, but the right follow-up questions, the right initial questions, you can pull a lot out of people.
Yeah, and it's when you're doing something like this, it's kind of you gotta have to do that. It's part of the whole game.
For sure.
Well, at a young age like that you're at, you keep hate to say you're young, but I mean, shit, I could be your dad. That's where we're at right now. But yeah, for such a young age and what you've gotten, do you attribute a lot of that success to the mentors that you had and the people that you're surrounding yourself with?
Most definitely. Yeah, I feel like the mentors have just been such a quicker way to get to where I want to be. And I feel like a lot of it too was just knowing where I want to get and then being able to ask them like the specific questions, or like the sooner that I can find out answers to my problems, the sooner that I get beyond the problem. So I feel like that's always been how I've thought, is like just get to the other side of the problem as quick as I can. One of my mentors, he owns affordablepatio.com, and he's doing a similar thing to what I'm doing with the fence company. But he's always told me, like, when you run into a problem, just throw everything you have at it to get through it as soon as you can, because it's actually costing you more money by not spending money to get it taken care of, because there's opportunity cost to everything.
Now, have you always kind of had that mindset growing up, or is that something that you kind of learned along the way from your parents?
As far as like the problem solving?
Well, problem solving and just your general approach to, thinking ahead.
Yeah. So I'd say a lot of that has come from my dad.
Okay.
He's a mechanical engineer, so he solves problems every day, and that's what he loves to do. So I feel like I kind of inherited a lot of those genes from him, but also he told me a lot about like his path and what he's doing, and how if he would have done something slightly different, maybe done his own thing, now he's not working for somebody else, if he did his own thing. He's still at a W-2 job, but it's comfortable, right? But he's like, hey, if I would have taken this path, it could have had this outcome. And so he's kind of always got me thinking. And I remember he would always read kind of real estate books, things like that. And so I think he passed a lot of that on to me. Like Rich Dad Poor Dad was one of the first books I've read.
Dude, I love that.
Mhm.
That is so
Yeah.
cool.
So
That's a
then,
book I read every year.
yeah, and that's a loophole once you get into those books,
Dude, it
right?
is.
It's
Oh
like,
yeah, all the whole Robert Kiyosaki, all of them,
Yep.
cash flow quadrant, all the. I do those. I love all those books.
yep. So
Yeah.
I attribute a lot to him.
That's awesome. And then your mentors, is there something that you've observed in them that you want to continue to mirror or even avoid?
Yeah. Honestly, one common thing between all of them was their willingness to like give and help. And I feel like that's taken them a long way too in what they've been doing. So I've been kind of trying to do that as well as much as I can, like help out where I can, provide input. Sure, I'm 21 and may not have as
Yeah.
much life experience as they do, but I know there's ways that I can help. And I've seen that the way that they do it has just always kind of paid off and helped them.
Yeah, I was reading something. I forgot the exact quote, but it was something along the lines like when you're new and at the bottom, you're competitive. When you're at the top, you collaborate.
Yeah.
And so it's something like, we've had other real estate agents on here. We've had other mortgage lenders on here. I mean, I constantly talk to other mortgage lenders and things like that just to kind of see what they're doing. And I mean,
Yeah.
the top producers, they're willing to collaborate. They're not
They're not worried about it. There's not a scarcity mentality there.
For
Yeah.
sure.
So
Well,
Yeah.
and actually, like the closer that I am with my competitors, the better. I
Right.
mean, I'd rather have a relationship with them because then we can even do things like I was talking to Bobby, my mentor, who's also a competitor of mine, but we collaborate on pricing because we want it to be level between everybody. And then it's,
Mhm.
somebody can do a fair choice based on how they felt with
On
us.
the person. Yeah.
So I'm like, that's a win-win for everybody.
For sure. No, that's really smart. That's awesome that you guys do that. Because
Yeah.
you think like the natural thing is just to try to undercut the other guy to get the job or whatever. Like, oh, I'll make mine, $1,000 cheaper or something. Whatever it is.
Exactly.
You
Yeah,
know?
we had a conversation the other day where like we want to be at this square footage price for paver patio, and it's like, okay, now we're both on target to get to the same spot, and maybe it'll level out the industry for everybody.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that a lot. Well, if you having a lot of mentors, has there been a brutal truth that you've heard from a mentor that kind of changed how you operate?
Yes. So I actually have heard, it wasn't one of the mentors I've talked about, but his name's Tim. He's kind of been a mentor, business, personal life in a lot of ways. You probably know him. He goes to Omen. But he kind of helped me to understand that one of my big flaws is kind of delays in making big decisions. And so I've kind of looked back on that and picked up that I do kind of sometimes drag my feet on some of the bigger decisions. So it's been nice to be able to reflect on that and see maybe why I was delaying those things. And not to make a super rash and quick decision, but to be able to stick with like not go back and forth, just stick with my decision.
This is
and
what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sticking to it.
Trust the
'Cause
gut.
there's two paths, and either path that you take is going to have its own set of things. So it's like take an educated guess on which path is the one you want to take and then deal with what comes along with that path, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Smart. It's great.
When you're leading people older than you, how do you navigate the respect, authority, and humility of it?
Ooh, that's tough. I feel like it comes back to just wanting to give everything I can knowledge wise that I have. And I understand that I probably am not as experienced as they are in some aspects, but I feel like as long as I'm giving everything that I can and know, and then also having open ears too, like, because I know I don't know everything. So it's like listening to what they have to say and what they have to input. I think that's kind of how I've been able to navigate and not feel too much like imposter syndrome, which I definitely feel a lot,
Yeah.
especially with trying to help others and mentor others. It definitely feels like I'm not where I need to be, but I also know that I do have something to give. So being able to give while also listening and taking advice from others, because like I said earlier, I know that everybody has something to give as well. So
Yeah, for us, I know we're big fans of Jocko Willink, and
Yep.
he's real big on that and basically almost like collaborative leadership. You're the leader, but at the same time, you're gonna look to the people that are working for you to get their inputs, because you may think it might work one way, but you're not actually boots on the ground, and
Yep.
and they are, and they see it another way, and you guys are able to. That's awesome. That's great that you're able to know that at such at an age that will allow you for even further growth in the future.
Yeah, and also like subcontractors are that aspect where I run into having to lead somebody that's older than me most of the
Right.
time. So with them, it's a lot of it is I I have to stand firm a lot of times,
Mhm.
which is sometimes uncomfortable for me to do because they are older. But I also know that um, the more that I stand firm, the more that they'll also respect that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think definitely listening to their input because I'm not in the field all the time is big too because they take that and it's like I'm always looking like if I underbid a job on their behalf and they're like didn't make as much as they need to, I'm always open ears to hear where that went wrong and how I can make it better for next time. So I always like for them to see that I'm implementing or working towards making their side of things better because it makes it better for everybody.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Well, in business, you're either growing or you're dying. What's one time you had to pivot fast or get left behind?
um I would say, um, kind of like almost right now because I'm in this spot where I have like it's a good problem to have. I've kind of put too many eggs into the marketing basket, so we have a lot of leads coming in, and it's really hard to field everything right now because I'm doing a lot of it. I had virtual assistants last year that were helping me, but I got to transition to a different route, and now that I'm between Greenscape and the fence company, it's a lot that's coming in. So I'm having to really pivot super quick and figure out what I'm going to do. Um, and one of the things that I'm doing is kind of starting to broker out some leads from Greenscape. So if I've got too many coming in, like it's so hard for me to let go of
Yeah,
money
it's
coming in,
potentially
right?
money. Yeah.
Exactly. But I'm realizing if I take on the stuff that I think will be most profitable and pass off this stuff to others that are still good jobs, but maybe not the most worth my time, um, I've ended up so much further ahead, less stressed, and end up making more money in the end. Is what happens if I take all that stuff on is it starts to get sloppy. I don't have time.
Overwhelmed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my business partner, he does a ton of business. But he was always like, make sure you get to, like, he's like, you don't want to get too big because then it's going to compromise the service and everything else that you're providing. And that's the last thing you want.
Yep.
And so that's something that I've always kept in the back of my mind. And I've always thought like, all right, this is what separates me from other people doing my job. I got to make sure, yeah, I get to a point that I'm doing what I can to maintain those things. But it's nice that you have that ability to broker that stuff out and
Yeah.
even get like a referral fee.
Well, and that's what I've been doing. Especially because I've been kind of talking with maybe doing a partner thing on the fence side of things, and I have a source that I can start sending some of those landscape leads to, and they'd either pay me per lead, or I could even do the initial sale on their end, and they'd fulfill everything else. So then maybe I could make a little more commission that way too. So yeah, a lot of different ways I can go with things.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Like, where do you see yourself in about 5 years?
5 years. Business side, I see myself on like full in on faster fences. I honestly, I love what I do with Greenscape, but I don't fully see that in the picture, right? I see maybe partnering with somebody else, like I said, to handle those leads, fulfill it, and kind of take it over. I see myself running kind of the sales marketing side of faster fences. We have the partner I'm talking with kind of have a plan of maybe doing like a nationwide thing with kind of sending out some subs. That's kind of the business side of things. I'd like to have enough time to do some of the personal things I like getting my pilot license is a really big goal of
Oh,
mine right
sick.
now.
Have you met Jim Avery yet?
I have not, but
Yeah.
I've heard about him.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's one of the owners.
Drinking out of one of his cups.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, he's one of the owners here, and he's an awesome guy.
Yeah.
And he's got his pilot license. Only person I know to crash a plane and still be alive.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had him on a few episodes ago. So if you want to hear the whole plane crash story,
I'll
it's a
listen.
pretty good in-depth breakdown of what
Oh,
happened,
yeah.
which is wild.
Oh yeah,
Crazy.
Sweet. Yeah, I've heard stories. I didn't hear that one though.
Yeah.
So,
He's got lots of stories.
Yeah. He's a good dude.
great dude.
He's awesome.
sweet. So yeah, that's a goal of mine. Kind of started that, but would like to continue that over the next 5 years.
So you started
Yeah,
like studying and stuff.
started studying, doing some ground school, a couple flights. So
Oh, cool.
yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I'd love to
Yeah.
just do it for fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what other hobbies or activities do you have outside of Building businesses.
A little bit of golf.
Okay.
Pickleball I'm starting to pick up. That's kind of taking golf's spot.
I've
for
heard
me.
Really?
you're quite the pickleball player.
I try.
Can neither confirm nor deny.
Yeah, you'll have to find out.
Yeah, we'll have to get a match going on over here.
That I also really enjoy traveling. That's a big one for me. The very cool spot about where I'm at is I buy a lot of materials on credit cards, so points are a big deal. So I try to find how I can get the best value for all the dollars I'm spending for travel.
Been anywhere recently?
This year I had only been to I've been to Salt Lake for a ski trip, and then Florida, but I've got some pretty cool trips coming up. Like the end of this month, I'm going to the Bahamas for a mission trip with my church. I got a Hawaii trip coming up this year. Cool stuff.
Heck.
Take
Well,
advantage of some of the stuff up here that they're putting on.
I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try.
yeah, me too. I want to eventually as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been on any of them yet, but yeah, that's a goal for sure.
But
So, you've mentioned your church a few times, so that's a big thing in your life, right?
yes. Yep.
So how does your faith show up, when things go sideways in business or in life?
Yeah. Recently, really it's helped me stay kind of at a middle ground, right? Because as I'm sure you guys know in your industry too, like the highs are high, the lows are low. So it's like learning to just be at peace no matter what happens. For me, that's been a lot of that I found in God. So when things are good, I pray. When things are bad, I pray. I just kind of try to find a middle ground and do the best I can every day.
Was this something that you were raised on, or is this something relatively new?
So I was raised Catholic. I'm non-denominational now. One of my best friends, his name's Matt Enright. He brought me to the church that he's at now. And it was just, there's something about the church that we're at. Everyone's so genuine. It was like not a huge church. So everything feels super intimate in a way. Like, everybody there, I know they want what's best for me and I want what's best for them. So it's like that really nice, tight relationship. And then they're also like everything that they are doing is kind of based on the Bible, which I like a lot too. And they're always like a proponent of doing your own research after sermons and things like that and trying to make your own conclusions on things. So
What's been an eye-opening what's been something that's been eye-opening through that extra studying that you're doing through religion and faith?
it's a great question. Something eye-opening. Um,
Or is there a message that you've gotten recently that's really stuck with you?
that's a good question.
A lot.
There's a lot. Yeah. I'm
It's a
trying to
big
think
book.
of a good one. A lot. So there's a book called Ecclesiastes, and I'd been reading it a lot. It's about a man who had kind of put everything into work, money, kind of was his god, right? And so it says a lot that money is not everything. Like it can't fulfill you. And so I've actually taken that to heart a lot, and I've been slowing down because that's something I struggle with a lot is chasing after money and making it kind of everything, and just kind of was a byproduct of working hard, starting to make more money. But I've actually tried to slow down a lot after reading that, and it's opened my eyes to the fact that I've realized, yeah, money's not truly what makes me happy, and it's never going to. So it's kind of taken a lot of pressure off of me in a way. And I've taken a lot of that focus that I was putting on money and put it onto God. And I've done that by reading more, praying more, hanging out with people at my church, kind of trying to help make some more disciples. And it's really changed a lot for me.
Awesome, man.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of had a similar thing over like the last year and a half. Really, ever since we started doing this podcast, like I've kind of realized that, not that I didn't know before, but the importance of my family and how important that like my wife and kids are to me. That I would spend, my oldest son is 3, and really like the first year of his life, like I was just working all the time. Like I was not around as much as I am now for our second, who's 1. And it's been very eye-opening to me that like I'm realizing what is the most important thing in my life. And, I need to, like, work's always going to be there. There's always going to be houses to sell. Like my kids are only going to be this age once.
For sure.
And like, I need to spend, like, it's like, I'm already kind of starting to see it with the 3-year-old, like, no, dad, I don't want to watch TV with you. And I'm like, oh, dude, hell,
Yeah.
like, man, like this is starting already. Like, I gotta, hold on to this time as long as I can, and, just realizing what's important.
Yeah. I think that's big, especially because, I mean, with all the scale and growth that I've tried to do so fast, it's come with a lot of stress. And I've noticed it throughout my life, like not sleeping very well, just throughout the day being stressed. I can feel like I felt my blood pressure up all the time, like, just kind of going crazy trying to put out fires. But I've realized, honestly, in the last few months, even that a lot of that is just not worth it because in the end, it's probably doing a lot more harm than good.
Yeah.
Would you say it's your faith that helps balance out that ambition and patience?
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's given me something else. Like it's, money is no longer my most important goal, right? It's my relationship with God. And I feel like with that has come a lot less stress over myself.
So when you look at other young entrepreneurs, like, do you have any other, like, any friends, like, you're like around your age that are doing what you do?
Not specifically in my industry, but like Derek Merkel, I don't know if you know him.
Yeah, he's a real estate guy.
Real
right?
estate.
Yeah.
Yeah. He and I were friends back in middle school. We did a lot of like flips on the trampoline together. And so then we kind of went our separate ways, and he reconnected once he saw what I was doing a couple of years back, and he and I have been best friends ever since.
Cool.
And yeah, he's doing the same thing. So it's nice to have somebody my age that understands the same struggles. And it's like, he didn't go to college either. So we're both just working to make it happen.
Yeah. So are a lot of your buddies like in college right now?
So if you would have asked me that a year and a half ago, I would have said yes. But a lot of my friends have changed. Like the people I hung out with in high school are pretty much mostly out of the picture now. I've got a whole new set of friends, which honestly, most of them are out of college or above college age. So I've kind of been,
Young
I'd
guy.
say, yeah, my average friend that's like close to my age would be like 25 or 26. And then obviously I've got tons of people around me like here that,
They're all like
all
twice your
over.
age.
Yeah, exactly. Didn't want to say it, but yeah,
I'll say it.
Feel old.
Yeah, you're definitely you got to be the youngest member here by far.
Yeah, I think it's 10 years maybe.
I feel very old.
Yeah.
Have you thought about creating like a young professionals group for like-minded individuals and of that are in their early mid-20s?
I haven't, but I actually think that's a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
You think like a group chat or
Yeah, group.
just
Like
just
do
a
like
group
a-
chat,
do
or
like
just
a-
like you get together maybe once a month.
Yeah.
Or you get together and just vent about your problems. To be honest, like
Yeah.
that's like some of my favorite things. Like I love meeting up with other real estate agents and just having coffee and like
yeah,
talking about your problems. What are you doing with this? Hey, what would you do if someone said this to you? Like, what do you I just came across this house or whatever it is. I love getting together with other agents and kind of just talking shop because they're like the only ones that kind of get what what we're doing.
for sure.
So I enjoy that a lot. So I would imagine, if you get around a bunch of other, young business owners, people that are, around your age, I think that could be, at least it's just like just a nice,
Yeah.
nice hang,
Right.
because even more than anything,
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna look into that.
Yeah, I'm sad that group that we started with Connor kind of fell apart.
Yeah, we started doing that. I'd love to like kind of, it's kind of what this is like,
Yeah.
this place is kind of that on steroids,
Yeah.
Right,
like
exactly.
because we did have this kind of like, we kind of did like a men's group sort of thing when it was like, we tried to pick like a guy, kind of like an unofficial BNI,
Yeah.
where like, all right, get a guy in every industry and like, we're going to get together at the
Once a
cigar
month.
lounge,
Yeah.
and just kind of bullshit and talk shop. What's our
Sweet.
goals? Hold us accountable to all our shit. And, it was cool. We did it for, I think we met up like 2-3 times, but then it just kind of dissipated.
Yeah.
But it was cool.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too, is like, yeah, we could start one with the three of us, but him and I are in different points in our lives than where you're at.
Yeah.
We're sitting here talking about struggles with parenting and stuff like
Exactly.
that, which you guys aren't going to relate to just yet, or if that's part of your plan or not. But, I mean, at that point, when it gets to that, you could always come and be like, oh, hey, how does juggling business and parenting work? Like that would be,
Yeah.
at that point, that would be when we would want to start something. But you definitely want to find a group that's, I mean, hell, you could probably find it up at Omen.
Yeah.
I mean, even through your church, I'm sure there's people there at your church. But yeah, I mean, it's just another nice thing to have, especially because I feel like you could probably, does it feel like you're alone sometimes? I know you got your mentor and the people, but like, do you like,
I would say when I'm facing a problem that I know nobody else can relate to, that's when I would feel the most alone.
yeah,
Um, but I also feel like I've kind of been able to get past that point when I'm facing the problems, or maybe I'm used to it is a better word to
yeah,
say. Like I've kind of gotten adapted to like being comfortable in that and not like
mhm.
taking that as a bad thing.
Comfortable in the chaos.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think to your point too, like Mark used to say, I don't know if you go to the men's groups, but it takes a village for
Mhm.
sure.
Oh, it
And I
does.
think
Yeah,
that's
it's a
so
great
true.
line. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really, and with anything you do, I
Yeah.
mean, you hear it a lot when it comes to kids. Like, oh, it takes a village to raise kids, and it
it
sure as
certainly
hell
does.
does.
Yeah.
I don't
But
understand like people. I mean, I do understand, but I look at that people that raise kid like say like me and Gina just moved to the other side of the country and we didn't have any of our family around. Like,
Yeah.
God, what a tough road that is. Like, and having
it's
two
not
kids because
easy.
like I mean we rely on our parents and family so much for for so many things with the kids. It's like I just can't imagine doing it alone.
No, I mean, because essentially that's where I'm at. My parents don't live here. Family's kind of all over the place, really, and that's another reason why I've gotten this, and maintained such a good relationship with my ex-wife and her boyfriend, because really it's the only family that I have here.
Yeah.
And so, we're able to lean on each other on times, but really, like, it's not easy. I've got some great babysitters that really help me out, and I mean,
Yeah.
it costs me a lot of money, but hey, that's my village, is their former teachers and babysitters. So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
takes a
Awesome.
village.
but
Yeah.
definitely got to find those people that you like, know, and trust for
For
sure.
sure.
Yeah,
So,
especially they're gonna be around your kids.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
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 So, what are some of your daily practices? What are some habits and things that you do daily?
Yeah. When I wake up, usually first thing I'm doing after I get out of bed is like kind of drink a glass of water, brush my teeth, things like that. And then that's when I do kind of my quiet time in the Bible, do some reading, journaling. I journal a lot in the mornings. Um, After that, usually I'm kind of checking emails for the first time throughout the day, kind of while I'm eating breakfast.
Kind of time? What time frame do you normally get up?
Um, Between usually like 6.
Yeah,
Um, I used to get up earlier, but didn't really see a huge benefit for me.
yeah.
So yeah, get up at 6, kind of 6 to 7 is during when those activities happen. Take a shower, and then I'll kind of start to get into my day after 7. That's kind of when the calls start rolling through from
Oh
subcontractors
yeah.
with issues or even homeowners sometimes. And I kind of block between 7 to 10 a.m. for starting jobs, doing things like that. If I have to go out to site visits, stuff like that. After that, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays are quotes for most of the rest of the day. So I'll be going from, house to house doing stuff. Tuesdays and Thursdays, my plan is to be up here, processing the quotes, getting them sent out, general office tasks. That's kind of from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. or whatnot. And after that, I used to work till like crazy hours, like 10, 11 p.m., just building, doing tasks like research. I've gotten big into AI research. So a lot of times I still do that at night. But that group chat I mentioned earlier, they're constantly doing stuff. Like tonight, they're going to a concert thing at the Botanical Gardens. So I'll probably join them for that. But
Nice.
yeah, kind of just hanging out with friends, doing fun things,
Yeah.
hanging out with the family.
You're
Love it.
still pretty close with your family.
Yeah.
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 That's
I
awesome.
still live with my mom
Oh,
and dad,
okay.
so, yeah, like, usually have dinner together pretty much every night and stuff.
That's awesome.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
You said you do a lot of research on AI. Where do you see it going?
I see a huge opportunity in, like, the more physical realm, as machines and things start to get built out that utilize, OpenAI's technology, but I think right now, first thing to go are gonna be probably a lot of, like, tech jobs and
Coding and stuff like
coding.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, especially because you can code apps now, without really doing much. It's just talking, essentially. You're
Giving
coding
it
in English,
prompts.
right?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
giving it prompts. I was talking to someone recently and they were saying like, man, I could see it in, like being like a college course, in like the near future that like how to prompt for AI, like the best ways, best things to feed it to give you what you're looking for.
So I've been getting ads from UMSL for like a 6-week course on prompting AI.
Oh fuck, it's already out there.
Jeez.
This was like probably a month ago or so. I was having this conversation.
Well, what's crazy is, this will be the 15th, my 15th anniversary being out of college. We were learning how to write business emails.
Wow.
There was a class on writing business emails and like how to get your, like, basically short and sweet to the point.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I've got a couple buddies that
15 years, you go from fucking learning how to write business emails to prompts on ChatGPT.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've got a couple buddies that are in the tech side of things. And they're kind of scared.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're going to be without a job here, possibly.
And they're still in college too. So it's like they went into college with AI not being a thing because that was 3 years ago.
Right.
And then now midway through college, all of a sudden it's like the jobs are just falling off the market. Yeah.
That's stressful.
Yep.
That's like, what do they do then? No?
Yeah.
Or they'd be like a lot of people that have a college degree that can't still get a job, or they're, like I've we've seen that. I mean, like I've got a college degree, but I've never used it.
Yeah. Well, and what I've told them is just no matter what, get good at using AI at least.
Yeah. Right.
Because
not going anywhere.
Yeah. Companies are going to hire the people that can use AI the best. I don't think AI is going to completely replace everything, but it sure is going to make everything more efficient.
Yeah.
And if you don't know how to make it efficient, it's like not having the right skill set for a job, essentially, is what it's going to become.
Yeah. I don't know. Luckily for us, we use AI in terms of like underwriting processes and stuff like that. So it's useful. I just don't know if you'll ever be able to eliminate the real estate agent or a loan officer from a transaction, because people still want that personal side of things. So
yeah, unless there's a robot that's going to go out and show you a house and tell you, all the things that I'm seeing, or, or negotiate the contract, negotiate things with another agent, or.
But do you think the AI is advanced enough to pick up on emotions of
no,
people?
I don't think so. Not for a long time, at least.
It would
that's the biggest part of a real estate. How much? That's why I couldn't be a real estate agent. I don't know if I can handle the emotion side of it.
Oh, bro, yeah.
Mine's black and white.
Yeah,
here's the guidelines. All numbers. This is what you got to do.
Yeah, here's your numbers. It works for you. It doesn't work for you. Yeah, mine's a lot more dealing with the emotional side of things for sure. Just some people are a lot easier to deal with than others. It's it's just every transaction is its own little snowflake. They're all different. All different, man. So yeah. So what do any of your buddies that are in? They said like what like what they have any, like, are they going to pivot and switch their majors, or like how does that work?
Yeah, one of my friends, he was going to Carnegie Mellon. He's pivoting to become a pilot. So that's a big change.
That's a big change.
That's a big change.
It's a big shift.
AI ain't gonna be flying no planes.
No. So that's I don't think that'll go anywhere.
No, I don't think so either. Yeah. I'm not trusting I mean, you have a Tesla, right?
Yeah. So I let it full self-drive me everywhere.
Do you really?
A lot of people don't like that.
Really? I guess you can work while driving. I guess you got to keep your hand on the wheel, right?
Somewhat, yeah. Somewhat. This is even scarier, but it's got a little camera up under the rear view mirror that watches your eyes.
Really?
So you got to be like looking at the road?
Yeah, or if you have sunglasses on. That's the biggest way to work around it. Then it just bypasses that entirely and goes based off of the wheel.
Gotcha.
So as long as you
have to keep your hand on it?
No, it's probably every 10 or 15 seconds it wants you to touch it. So if I'm on my phone, I probably shouldn't be touching it.
If I'm on my phone, I see where you're going. You're like this.
Yeah. You got
it. And I was looking at the Teslas for a while. I think they just there. I drove one and they're just so fun to drive. They are.
I got lucky. So they had to replace, I got the best customer service I've ever experienced from anyone at Tesla.
Really?
So I guess they put foam on the inside of their tires to reduce the noise. And that foam apparently came undone on all of my tires. And so I had 20,000 miles on the car. They replaced all the tires for free. And while they were doing that, they gave me a Cybertruck for the day.
No kidding. How was that to drive?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do it every day. But
yeah. I mean, I look at them and I'm like, sometimes I'm like, man, that looks so cool. And sometimes I'm like, that looks so weird.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I could get used to it as a daily driver, but like to just drive it for the day, I'd be all over that.
I know.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'd want to like really use it as a truck, and because you're gonna beat that thing up. I mean,
well, it's bulletproof.
Apparently.
Apparently.
yeah. Well,
Maybe not the windows.
We had when I was selling my house last year, there was some stuff that we sold on Marketplace, and one of them was my old bed frame.
Yeah.
And it was one of those big canopy beds that was just solid metal. And these people came and bought it and picked it up, and they had a cyber truck, and we just he was like, "Oh, be careful putting it in there. Be careful, don't do that." And then we'll just put it in there, and it was heavy, and it bent. I forget what it bent something. It caused something, and he wasn't happy about it. And like, well, all this for the fucking bed. We could have just gotten a new one and had it delivered. I'm like,
All right.
Thanks for buying it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that's one of the, I was close to buying a new truck. Actually, I was looking at Ford Lightnings a while ago, because I was like, I like having the truck for what I do for work, and sometimes I go through do house flips and stuff like that. Like I just like having a truck.
Yeah.
And so I was like, ooh, the Ford Lightning is kind of the best of both worlds. But obviously, for how much I drive around, like driving what I drive does not make a ton of sense. So I was like, oh, maybe this Ford Lightning will be it. And so, but I drove it around for a while, but I ended up not getting it. But because I do like, and this wasn't ultimately the reason, but I figured this out after driving that around. I was like, I like, my truck's 15 years old, but it's been well maintained. It looks a lot newer than that, in my opinion. And it's done a lot of like aftermarket mods and stuff. It looks kind of cool, I think. But I like that it's older, that it can get a little beat up. Like I don't necessarily like have to treat it like it's brand new.
Yeah.
I can treat it like it's a truck.
Yep.
I can throw shit in the back of it and not worry about it scratching the bed, or it's a mess with my kids in the car seats and all the things. So it's like, I like having the truck that you can be a truck. You don't have to treat it like it's made of glass and worry about every like little scratch and ding and dent on it.
Have you seen those new ones coming out? They're like it's like $20,000. It's like put a $50 deposit down or whatever, but it's like fully customizable or whatever.
I think I have.
They're just like
I can't
little
remember the name.
tiny trucks. Let's see.
No, but I did hear about Chevy is making, and I don't know. I need to probably look this up before I say it. So I'm sure if this is not true, we'll probably get roasted for it. But how Ford has the Raptor, and Dodge has the TRX.
Yep.
So apparently Chevy's coming out with their version of like that their version of that kind of truck,
super
the super sick
sporty,
truck, and it's going to be called the Meteor.
Nice.
And do you know why it's called the Meteor?
No.
Because it killed the dinosaurs.
I think I did see that on Instagram. That's hilarious.
I was like, that's so fun, because it killed the dinosaurs. I was like,
that's funny.
Yeah, it killed the Raptor and the TRX.
It's called Slate.
Really?
Slate trucks.
$20,000.
But yeah, starting out at $20,000. But very very basic. Looks like a little Ranger.
It does, yeah.
You know what that'd be perfect for is like a sales vehicle.
Yeah.
Like if you had salespeople.
Yeah. But you can fully customize it. Like you can turn it, like you can basically turn it into like an SUV. I mean,
that's cool.
Yeah, however you want it, you can fully customize it. If you wanted 4 seats versus 2, but I think the initial battery at the 20,000 is like 150 miles. Not very much.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because what's your Tesla, like 300?
360.
360. Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. And do you charge it every night?
Yeah, I've got a charger at my house. I just plug it in. It's fully charged by morning.
Yeah. I just don't know if like infrastructure wise. I mean, I think there needs to be more. It needs to be heavily leaned on to start with hybrids before we go full electric.
Yeah.
The concept's a great idea. I just don't know if we've got the infrastructure to handle or support. Look what happened in California. Fucking power outages. You got people driving around with Teslas with gas generators hooked up to them.
Trunk open.
Yeah. Just a generator hanging out of it.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I still have a truck too, a gas truck. So
I would assume with having to pull everything, I guess you're not really hauling anything these days, but
no, but it's still nice if I the subs are busy, I need to touch something up on a job, or just having a truck in general. I'm a big fan of. Yeah.
It's just nice to have. So it's like I was considering getting like a Tesla, like the one of just like the Model, what is it? The Model S? Is that the?
That's like the more expensive
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was looking at that one, and then what's the other one?
X
and the Y. The Y is like the little SUV one, right?
Yeah, it's the cheaper SUV.
Yeah, the cheaper SUV. I was looking at all of them, but I was like considering getting one and then like keeping the truck, and then using the Tesla is more of like my daily driver for how much I drive around, but then I've always got the truck.
Yeah.
So that still might be what I do, but I just need to decide.
Well, if you got the truck, someone's always going to call you asking
Oh,
for
yeah.
help.
Oh, I
That
get
is
that
the
all the
truth.
time. All the time.
I think
Yeah.
I've used it a few times.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So talking to your future self here. So if your future self showed up and thanked you for one thing you're doing right now, what do you think that would be?
Probably my willingness to adapt and change paths for something that I see in the future that's going to be a better opportunity. Like, for instance, right now, the fence company, like I see right now, kind of how I am with Greenscape, the kind of stress levels it's been bringing, kind of that I'm doing a lot of tasks that maybe aren't my zone of genius, and kind of being able to see the future plan and how things will work out with the fence company. I think that just, yeah, my willingness to always be like adapting. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's like, that's something I've adopted early on and have been doing over the last 5 years. And it's kind of got me to where I'm at. So I think that keeping that trait and honestly doubling down on it is going to help, because this is the time where if I adapt to something and it's not the right adaptation, I still have time to figure it out. Right.
Right.
So the earlier that I make those decisions, the better.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So with obviously, you've said it a few times how you kind of see the fence thing outgrowing, Greenscape. Is it due to just the amount of the amount of people that want fences versus like landscaping type stuff, or like what is it about faster fences that you think is superior?
So I think it's superior in the way that there's probably an equal amount of jobs in both aspects, but I think that we can dominate the market by doing it a little bit differently because of how everything's going to be set per linear foot for price. People can price their stuff out online. I'm actually building out an AI tool right now on our website where people just put in their address and they can either draw on Google where they want the fence on the property, or AI. Like, this is going to be more specifically for like the new home builds. McBride always gives the lot surveys when they buy the house. So AI will just analyze that and then go based off of that and provide an estimate for everybody. So just like having that will cut off having a bunch of office people. So that's going to bring prices down a lot. And essentially just being able to do it more affordably and quicker than any of our competition.
That app
And
sounds
better.
sick.
Yeah, I'm excited.
That's
Well,
really
and it's not just McBride. Every time you buy a new house, it's initial surveys required.
Okay.
So yeah, so any new construction,
Yeah.
you'll be able to do that for.
Yeah, so that's the goal, is to be able to have people submit that right in there, and then they get their full detailed proposals. And I would hope that it could get to the point where like people could almost sign off on the contract just based on submitting their lot survey if we get it good enough.
Are you part of the Home Builders Association?
I'm not.
No, might be good. Might be something good to look into.
Yeah.
Just like anything else, it's just all new construction type stuff, and people and industries that are associated with it. They've got events all the time and things like that. And I think Guild as a whole is a part of it. I tried to get in there. I think one of our other loan officers up in Troy, because he does so much new construction that I think he's our rep for the HBA. But yeah, no, it's a good. That's another good community to tap into, because if you can get in there and network with them, then you can right off the bat you're getting the builder to refer you versus.
For sure.
So
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
so
Sure. What now? So how you obviously you're not like building homes you're not like one of the subcontractors for McBride, but like how have you kind of gotten your in there?
So Facebook groups is the biggest. I actually created my own as well for this was more for Greenscape, but it was McBride Homes Outdoor Designs and Ideas. So I would start doing designs and showing our designs that we've done, projects we've installed, and start throwing inspiration in there. And I would post it inside of the bigger group chat that had like 2,500 members. And so I'd start to get some to join from there. And then it was kind of trying to make myself the name in the bigger group chat too.
Oh, okay.
Without overdoing it. So my way of not overdoing it was by having that subgroup chat. So then when people saw my, once a week or whatever post with a new job, they would see also the tag for that group, and then they could go look at all of our stuff in that group.
Okay, that makes sense. I was wondering how you did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you could all. I mean, there's a lot. McBride isn't the only home builder too,
For
so
sure.
like you could totally connect with a bunch of other ones here in town that would do the same thing.
Yeah. It kind of sucks because they're a little stringent on like allowing yard signs or anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
McBride is?
Yeah. Or just the HOAs that they use. Like they use a management company and they're like, no yard signs, no nothing.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And I had mine. I built over there with Flower and Findler, and
Yeah.
we didn't give a shit what the HOA said.
Yeah.
We had who was the company that did our deck? Midtown.
Oh, they're expensive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a nice deck.
Nice.
Yeah, but we didn't care. We were like, yeah, can we put a sign? Sure. We didn't check with the HOA, and nobody said anything.
Yeah.
So as long as really, like, it's not like the HOA's out there checking. As long as you don't have any
around
douchebag neighbors that are gonna sit there and the president, vice president, no, you can't do that. Like,
yeah,
damn presidents and vice presidents, chill out.
Yeah.
Let people live their lives.
For sure.
Throwing a yard sign out there.
I don't think. Yeah. I mean, I could understand it while maybe McBride is still building their homes in there,
which is usually the ones that we're in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, I mean, I feel like McBride's always building no matter what. Like, they never have a finished subdivision.
No, I don't think I've ever seen one.
Yeah, that's why they're getting sued right now. They never finish they never finish a subdivision. It's always under construction. They gotta pay those people back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done quite a few McBride builds over the years.
Yeah. I will say though that out of all of them, they do on the lending side, they'll push their lender, but if they're at like we're good, then they don't really push. But like there's some that'll just push and push and push and push and push all the way up until the very end. It's like, you assholes. Like,
those snake deals out of Pat's hands all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I just lost I just lost to McBride and Son one yesterday. But whatever. Happens.
Yeah.
Part of the job. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, you're building stuff that most people can't see yet. What's the vision that keeps you grinding when nobody's clapping?
Probably just looking at where I want my life to be, in 10, 20 years. Like, kind of for myself, I always look at the vision, like I want a nice home, probably 45 minutes away from the city, got some nice land. I'm thinking about just having fun, maybe a little lake on the property. So kind of looking at that, it's just makes me want to, have a family out there. Just makes me want to grind.
Yeah, for sure. A family, wife, kids, that's the goal.
Yeah, wife, kids. Like I said, nice property. Just have a good family.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, man.
Yeah. And the more I was originally thinking like, oh, I want to be, posting a lot on Instagram, all those things, like really try to grow that. But then the more I've learned, it's like, it'd be nice to own a business and not have many people really know about it, and just be able to have close friends or come up to Adventure Unknown and just have real connections, So,
yeah. Totally agree.
Yeah, as we sit here and post every single day.
Which, I'm not hating on it.
No,
it's good for business.
Right, it is. I mean,
but
it is good for
more of like the super big influencer that's selling like kind of a coach and stuff. I always used to look at that and be like, look at course, like, oh, that'd be cool to sell a course. But then the more I look at it, I'm like,
so many of those out there.
Yeah.
And let's be real, how many of those are actually worth a fuck?
Not
many. Not many.
Yeah.
There's some, but not many.
See, that's I mean, like we're not doing, like, we do this because we enjoy it.
Yeah.
And we're able to produce content off of it. As more on the marketing side of things. So people can see who we are, because as I think I said earlier, you work with who you like, know, and trust.
Yeah.
And so it's just another way for people to kind of get to see who we are and whether they like us or not.
For sure.
I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but it is what it is.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I think it's definitely powerful, and I still will post. It's just I don't want it to make it my goal to like grow really big.
You don't want to
be an influencer.
Have a couple 100,000 followers or something. It's
right.
not the goal.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole followers, I just feel like it's like not a trap, or I don't know what you call it, but I feel like it's like the grass is always greener thing. Like you're like, oh man, that's going to be amazing. Like when I get 100,000 followers, it's going to be, my life's going to be, it's not going to be any different.
Exactly.
Like you're not going to be making that, I don't think you're going to be making that kind of money. You're not going to be making a ton of money from it.
Yeah.
Like directly from Instagram or something like that.
You might get a cool plaque from YouTube or something.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. But I think, the real money is made from, your, the marketing aspect of it in your business. Like,
for sure.
Pat and I don't have, crazy followings by any means, but we've got, about under 2,000 both of us. And it's like, we've been able to create a great business from that here locally in our market. Right. So yeah, and that's all that really matters.
Well, that's how I am too. Like just being able to post the projects that we're doing and working on and show that kind of stuff off. That's
see, like in your industry, like you don't really on your social media, like you don't really ever have to show your face.
Exactly.
Like it can just be, look, here's my work, you know, whereas our industry, like we kind of need to show our face. You know, I mean,
For sure.
there are guys out there that, you know, that don't post, they'll just post pictures of houses and stuff. And it's
But
like,
not personal.
that's not personal, you know,
Yeah.
like you're working with, you know, there's a million different real estate agents out there, but you know, you gotta separate yourself from the pack.
Yeah. A house is kind of a house, right?
Yeah, it's a
Right.
house, is a house. I mean, like cool houses are cool houses, but like,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna show those cool houses, but like I gotta, you know, throw myself in there a little bit too, here and there, you know.
Well, I think your videos are really good with the
Humor.
humor.
Yeah, that's
and
what I
just
do with it.
the-
'Cause it's like, dude, it's such a, you know, it could be such like a stale thing, you
Yeah.
know, and I like try to make it as funny as I can, you know, just
Yeah.
that's the shit that I like to see.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I like to laugh.
I kind of want to make one like yours.
Like the transition
Yeah,
ones.
the transition
Yeah.
ones, like on a project, like it just gets done and boom. But,
Yeah.
like I can do a lot of flips on the ground still too. So I want to do some where maybe I'm flipping into
Flipping
a
into
job.
Oh, they got
Oh.
that new.
Yeah.
Well, I sent it to him that we're trying to figure out how to do it with the new Justin Bieber baby trend.
Oh yeah, where
Yeah.
it's, yeah.
Yeah,
It could
do
be a good
something
one.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That could be good.
yeah.
Yeah.
So are you on social media a lot looking for trends or?
I'm not necessarily, I wouldn't say I like look for trends. I just look at shit that I like
Think it's
think
funny.
is funny. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. I could kind of like replicate that with my shit. You know,
Yeah,
like,
the hot girl one. How long was
Yeah.
that saved for?
yeah.
The one
like,
that you ran the
one-
ad on?
Yeah, the one we just did yesterday. Yeah, we I mean probably 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean it's probably and I think we're like the first person to use that sound other than the guy that posted it.
Yeah.
You know, but it got, you know, like 1,200 views for us, which is like, you
Yeah.
know, it's decent. You know, it's just
Yeah.
fun. You know, I love making the funny, stupid videos. Those are just my favorite.
That's awesome.
I like the dance videos. Zach's not a fan of the dance videos, but I like the dance
Yeah,
videos.
not my thing.
Yeah.
But
the one we did popped off of
There you
like
go.
30,000
You're right.
views.
And it was just everybody ripping on me.
Now we know he doesn't like it.
Yeah, that's what I don't like him. Oh, fuck.
They're good. They're good times.
Yeah.
So
Well, Jack, it's been awesome having you in here, brother. Is there anything you want to discuss before we get you out of here that we didn't already cover?
I think we covered a lot of it. Yeah. Just kind of in the grind phase right now.
Yeah, dude.
working.
okay.
Awesome. Well, before we get you out of here, we always end the show the same way.
Yep. We play a little game.
Okay.
Tombstone game. Here lies Jack. What's it say on your tombstone?
Oh boy. Beloved father, husband, father. And it's a tough one.
Hmm.
Yeah, those are the two biggest that I'd want to be remembered by, like family.
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 Perfect, man.
There you go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for tuning into the show. If you haven't clicked that subscribe button for us yet, please do so. That would help us out a ton. Pat and I have a goal to hit 500 subscribers on YouTube before the end of 2025. So help us hit that goal. Click that button. If you got anything out of the show, share it with a friend. That would help us out a ton as well. Click that like button and comment what you thought below. We'll see you next time.